Here's just an interesting thing. A new Rasmussen poll shows that Trump's approval rating in the black community is now up around 36%, which is unbelievable. He started down around 8%, and I predicted this was going to happen for a simple reason. I've happened to notice that black Americans have eyes to see with and ears to hear with, and they know when they're being gamed. I mean, how long can you game a person before he catches on? But it also tells us something else. It also tells us that in the battle between Trump and the press, which is this pitched battle, it's like Moriarty and Holmes with their hands wrapped around each other's throat as they go off the falls together, Trump's winning. Trump is winning because this has been their main avenue of attack, as it always is. Everyone who disagrees with the left is a racist. Say that, a guy is stupid, he happens to be black. Oh, you said it because he's a racist, not because he's stupid, which he may also be, right? If you say that President Obama was incompetent and corrupt, you said it not because he was incompetent and corrupt. No, it couldn't be that. It's got to be because his skin happens to be a little tanner than your skin. That's got to be what you're thinking about. So, now they've got this routine. So all of this, and they just do it and do it and do it. And people aren't listening because their lives are getting better, because America is getting better, because we're at peace. They've seen ISIS has been wiped off. They've wiped off the face of the earth. They see that Trump is behaving in, even though his weird personal behavior is weird, his behavior as president is within the bounds of the Constitution. They can see this with their own eyes, and it doesn't matter what the press keeps hammering away at. Now they're on this Omarosa, this obvious person. He called her a dog. So it's got to be because she's black and a woman. But he's called Mitt Romney a dog. He called Michael Wolff a dog. This is a thing he says. So, but don't be afraid of this because Brian Williams is investigating. It's cut number 2.
Does this president really physically not like dogs?
That's right, Brian. He's actually the first president in more than 100 years who's not had a dog as a pet in the White House. He has lived with a dog before. When he first got married to his first wife, Ivana, she brought with her a poodle. He resisted the dog. He didn't want to have anything to do with the poodle, but she said, the poodle's coming along, Chappie's coming along. Turns out Chappie didn't like Trump very much because whenever Trump would come near Ivana's closet, Chappie would bark at him.
I'm glad we got to the bottom of that. See, this is the problem the press has, that everything Trump says about them is true. It really is interesting, if they would just, if either Trump or the press would just edge a little bit toward compromise. If Trump would say, the Russians fiddled with the election, but that had nothing to do with the results. I won because I won. If he would say that, they wouldn't be able to get him on this constant, it's a witch hunt and whatever he says. But if the press would just say, you know what, Trump is right. We are biased. There are too many Democrats, too many people, not enough Trump voters, no Trump voters in any of our editorial spots. If they would just move a little bit, but they are, no matter how badly Trump behaves, they behave worse. And people ultimately think, to hell with them. Why should we do this? And it's not just the press. It's the whole Democrat Party, but I repeat myself because the Democrat Party and the press are the same thing. Let's take a look. The other day, I think it was yesterday, Chris Cuomo's less intelligent brother. I can hardly believe those words are coming out of my mouth. The governor of New York, and here's what he had to say to the people. And this is his people. Listen to their reaction.
And look, the simple point is all this comes down to this. We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. We have not reached greatness. We will reach greatness when every American is fully engaged. We will reach greatness when discrimination and stereotyping against women, 51% of our population, is gone, and every woman's full potential is realized and unleashed, and every woman is making her full contribution. When that happens, this nation is going to be taken even higher because we have not yet fully liberated the women in this country.
So let me get this straight. We're the first constitutional republic in our time. All the others are imitations. We won 2 world wars and the Cold War, setting all of the world free. Not a single person who is politically free does not owe a debt to the United States of America. But the problem is our women are living in the Handmaid's Tale. You see them on the street with those flying nun hats and all the red things and being forced to bear other people's children. You see this in front of you, except you don't, except it's all in his imagination. But he is not the only one on the left. Karl Rove has a piece in the Journal today. He says New Jersey Senator Cory Booker declared that we are at a time where injustice has grown to be normal in our country. Elizabeth Warren says the hard truth about our criminal justice system is it's racist. I mean, all the way front to back. And as Rove points out, this doesn't speak well of former attorneys general Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch, who made the justice system the way it is today. They had 8 years to change it. It's not Donald Trump's justice system. It's still theirs. California Senator Kamala Harris joined the assault, telling Netroots that our criminal justice system has failed, besides vowing not to be shut up by opponents of identity politics. Ms. Harris unconsciously took a swipe at President Obama's record, saying we have an economy that is at work for those at the very top, but not for those doing the hardest. God, life in America is awful, according to these people. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Democratic socialist who became the left's overnight sensation, told Netroots that immigration and customs enforcement, these law enforcement officers, has repeatedly, systematically, and violently committed human rights abuses. This is the way the Democrats talk about America. This is the way they talk about America, no matter what Donald Trump is doing, no matter what they say, no matter what tape they come up with. They're worse. They're worse than he is. They cannot come up with a charge. They hate the country. They keep telling us they hate the country. And listen to who won the primaries yesterday. Listen to the Democrats who won the primary yesterday. This is diversity. Diversity is our strength. You know that. Diversity is our strength. Here's a diverse group of people. There's Randy Bryce, who is an admitted drunk driver. He's going to try and get the seat of Paul Ryan, the House Speaker. In Minnesota, Keith Ellison won his nomination for Attorney General while denying accusations that he abused a former girlfriend. Democrat Archie Parnell in South Carolina admitted to beating his wife decades ago, and he won a congressional primary. In Vermont, the Democrat running for the governor of Vermont is, let me see if I've got her. Yeah, I do. Christine Hallquist. Here's Don Lemon. I don't know what to call. He's a guy who dresses up as a girl, so I guess that makes him a transgender something. Here's his interview with Don Lemon.
Do you see this as a victory for all transgender Americans, all Americans?
Yes, I do see it as a victory for all of Americans. But I will tell you, it's no surprise to me living in Vermont. I love Vermont, and this is pretty typical for what Vermont is. Vermont's been a loving state, a leader in civil rights, and we're going to continue to show the rest of the country what good democracy looks like.
Good democracy looks like a guy in a skirt. I mean, it's like a Monty Python routine. And by the way, it's not attacking people who have gender dysphoria, who have problems with this, but really, I mean, that's what good democracy looks like. I mean, it does look like Monty Python. All right, never mind. The problem that the press has and the problem that the Democrats have is that it's just apparent to people who have eyes and ears, which is like a lot of people, it's apparent that they have behaved very, very badly. So anything they say about Trump, it just kind of keeps coming back on them. And that was true with this John Brennan when they pulled his security clearance. You know, the thing about pulling a guy's security clearance is it costs him money. You know, he's out there selling his expertise. John Brennan has a contract, I think, with NBC. He's out there selling his expertise. He can be consulted, go to do consultancy work and say, yes, I have an inside track. So when this happens to him and the press, oh my goodness, he's punishing his enemies. But the people, remember, since we started by saying this, the people aren't listening to the press because the press has just behaved so badly. So what do the people say? What do you say? What do I say when I hear that John Brennan's security clearance has been pulled? I think, well, okay, what did he do and what did Trump do? Well, what did Brennan do? First of all, he set up Trump on this ridiculous Russia investigation. He accused him of treason. He's just been an insidious blowhard. He has been a gas bag from the beginning with his big words, and he's just, let's listen to Brennan's reaction to having his security clearance pulled, which, by the way, is a privilege. It's not a right. They just something they do as a favor to him. Let's listen to his reaction.
I've seen this type of behavior and actions on the part of foreign tyrants and despots and autocrats for many, many years during my CIA and national security career. I never, ever thought that I would see it here in the United States. And so I do believe that all Americans really need to take stock of what is happening right now in our government and how abnormal and how irresponsible and how dangerous these actions are.
He said it was a threat to his free speech, and you can hear how he's been silenced, utterly silenced. I mean, what a gas bag. The guy is like, he's talking about Trump as a foreign tyrant because he pulled this privilege that he had after he's done all this. So here's Sarah Sanders. So here's the thing, right? If the people are not listening to the media, if they're not listening to the media narrative, they're making decisions on their own. That's what we started with. They're making decisions on their own. So they listen to the gas bag, the insidious gas bag, and then they listen to Sarah Sanders, who's reading Trump's statement on pulling Brennan's security clearance.
Mr. Brennan has a history that calls into question his objectivity and credibility. In 2014, for example, he denied to Congress that CIA officials under his supervision had improperly accessed the computer files of congressional staffers. He told the Council of Foreign Relations that the CIA would never do such a thing. The CIA's Inspector General, however, contradicted Mr. Brennan directly, concluding unequivocally that agency officials had indeed improperly accessed congressional staffers' files. More recently, Mr. Brennan told Congress that the intelligence community did not make use of the so-called Steele dossier in an assessment regarding the 2016 election, an assertion contradicted by at least 2 other senior officials in the intelligence community and all of the facts. Additionally, Mr. Brennan has recently leveraged his status as a former high-ranking official with access to highly sensitive information to make a series of unfounded and outrageous allegations, wild outbursts on the internet and television about this administration. Mr. Brennan's line and recent conduct, characterized by increasingly frenzied commentary, is wholly inconsistent with access to the nation's most closely held secrets and facilities, the very aim of our adversaries, which is to sow division and chaos.
So you hear the insidious gas baggery, and then you listen to that, which is absolutely accurate description of what John Brennan has been up to both in office and since he has gotten out of office. And I think most people are going to come to the same conclusion as Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana.
I think most Americans look at our national intelligence experts as being above politics. Mr. Brennan has demonstrated that that's not the case. He's been totally political. I think I called him a butthead, and I meant it. I think he's given the national intelligence community a bad name.
I love this guy. I love John Kennedy. He will say anything. Anyway, this is the problem to have. Why the press is losing. Why I think the Democrats are losing a lot more than maybe the polls show, because they have just behaved badly, and they have behaved badly for a longer time than Donald Trump.